Welcome to another Creative Spin podcast. And today I have a guest. He is not my co-host. He is my guest, Colin. And I'm not going to pronounce your last name because I know I'm going to screw it up.
What's up?
How's it going?
Yeah, I'll let that one slide.
I mean, we've only known each other for a couple of years now. But yeah, I have Colin here because in today's episode, like I said, he's not going to be our co-host. You're actually going to be my guest because I think it'll be interesting for our viewers and our listeners to hear a little bit about your story and what you've been doing in these last couple of years in regards to video and photography and editing and business and all the jazz that you're involved with. I think it'll be interesting to give them a good perspective of how you can work all this out at such a young age. So stay tuned and let's just hit that intro. Today's podcast is brought to you by Workplace One, a company offering boutique private offices, co-working spaces, and virtual office solutions, as well as meeting rooms in the best neighborhoods of Toronto and Kitchener-Waterloo. Ideal for entrepreneurs, companies, and passionate business people. Workplace One is where you want to be with your business. For more information, go over to workplaceone.com. Colin,
What's up?
how does it feel to sit down as a guest and not as a co-host?
It's just
it's so different.
Yeah,
right?
A whole new world is open for me.
It is. I can only imagine. I mean, this is
how you feel every
life-changing.
time.
Is it life-changing at this point?
For sure.
The point of a coaster. I don't know. Sorry, guys. If you're just listening, you can't pick up on that one. Colin, I dragged you in here, but with the intent of actually interviewing you because you've been working now with Creative 7, with me, for the past 2 years, just over 2 years now.
Yeah, it's looking like that.
Jeez.
Time flies. Holy.
I'm surprised you still don't have gray hair. I'm just surprised.
Right? After all that.
But if you want some, I mean, I can go cut my hair and I'll lend you some.
For sure. I'll keep that in mind.
But one of the things I wanted to bring why I wanted to bring you on is, for those of you who don't know, Colin is quite young. He's early 20s, and but you've been playing this business game for a while now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that I could technically say I've almost been doing it for a decade already.
Which, right after your diapers,
right into it.
It's like, okay, I don't have this diaper business going on. Let me get a business now.
Exactly.
So walk us through a little bit of your history for those of you, our listeners and people that are watching that don't know you. Give us your origin story.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's not anything super, super crazy, but I'll try to make it
no
as
superpowers or anything.
Yeah,
no,
sadly not. No.
There might be a superpower there. I'm gonna have to say, but let's keep going.
But yeah, so it's been interesting. I definitely started out in a family that didn't really have any businesses. Like, I don't have any family business that I'm trying to get in on or nothing. Everyone in my family is either in education or in engineering, pretty much. So kind of different paths, but from a young age, I've always been interested in video making. When I was much younger, I used to have a cottage in Poland where there was like a film festival in that little town. So from a young age, I started getting involved with that. I was even able to star in a couple Polish movies.
When you say young age, what are we talking about? 3 years old?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess in terms of that, yeah. Like, I started from when I was about 6 or 7 till about like 13. I was doing that almost every summer. But as fun as it is being in front of the camera and acting, I don't think that that's necessarily my biggest passion in life. And if I do find the clips, I'll try to throw them in for the video side of the podcast. But yeah, it's pretty tragic. So
that'll be interesting to watch. Now I'm curious.
But yeah, no. So my first real business venture was in grade 7. So I was 12 years old. And at the time, there were these snapbacks, kind of like the one I'm wearing in the today, that they were super popular by a certain brand, and everyone was wearing them, but they were pretty expensive. They're like 50 or 60 bucks a hat, and when you're 12 years old, 60 bucks.
That's money.
Like, come on, that's like a year's worth of allowance, man.
What do you have to sell to get that?
Yeah, so I really wanted to get it, but I knew that other people wanted to buy them as well. So this was actually in the early stages of Alibaba before it really took off.
Oof, look at you.
Yeah, this was, like 9-10 years ago now. I got in contact with a wholesaler, a producer in China that was making replicas of the hats. And if I bought a certain number, I think it was like 15 hats, I could get them each for, I don't remember now, like $5 or $7 a piece, and I could turn them for like 30 bucks. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna risk it. I put all the allowances from the year in. The package came in like 3 weeks later. It was the most tedious process as a 12-year-old kid trying to talk to these people that didn't really speak English too well, and that I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to too well, right? I had no like idea of the logistics, this and that. Somehow that managed to come through, and
it worked out.
It worked out, and then like 3 weeks later, I went to the post office, and there my hats were in a package, and I was like, wow. Sold those hats, went really well. Everyone was happy with the products, and that's where I really found my interest in business, selling, and kind of starting to progress into the marketing side of things.
So would you say you were always looking at the business aspect of things after that, like, or even earlier on, right?
Yeah.
Like you're always looking at, okay, I can make a buck here.
That's the thing. Like that's another real different part between most of my family and myself, is that my family is less so about like trying to make that dollar, in the sense that of course they make a living and they're doing well, but I've always been interested in like, okay, but how can I turn something into making a profit?
Yeah, it's playing that game, right?
Yeah, and it's fun, right? Because you're making something out of nothing, or you're trying to, right? And so that was always of interest, and kind of progressed with that. Similarly, I never really took video seriously until I was about, I would say like 15, when I really decided to like deep dive into that.
What happened there? Did you get a camera? Was it a computer? Was it a friend? Like what?
So I went to a business high school, and it was like basically what people always ask when they're like, business high school, what does that even mean? We just had all the normal classes, but every other class we had to take a business class. So there was economics, marketing, finance, anything.
Smart.
We just had to fill that in. And for one of my marketing classes, there was the final assignment of the year was make a marketing plan. Or sorry, not a marketing plan, but a business plan fully. And then at the end, when we submitted it, the teacher was like, oh, by the way, the government of Ontario has a grant for any young individual up to, I believe, age 29, from 14 to 29. If you submit and it's good enough, you get through all the steps, you have to be interviewed, this and that. If you get that, you get a grant from the government to run your business for the 2-month summers that you have in grade school. So for July and August, basically every 2 weeks, you'd meet with a business mentor. They'd help you sort of like progress your business while kind of like helping you take that fund that you got from the government and putting it, like investing it properly. And then at the end of the summer, they gave you a bit more money to like keep going or whatever. And that was it. So that was my first official.
That's a great incentive. I wonder if that's still around. We should look into it. And like, if it is, we'll probably leave it in the description. Yeah,
it's called Summer Company, if anyone's interested in checking it out. I know it's in the province of Ontario and possibly even other provinces too.
That's a great initiative, actually.
Yeah, and it's amazing because honestly, I think without that, I wouldn't be here today, for sure.
So then, Colin grows up and goes to college.
Yeah, so from then on, I basically originally, what I wanted to do was only TV commercials. I thought that was the coolest thing to be on TV.
Okay, so I know I jumped quite a bit here, but so between high school and that little adventure there with owning your own little business, now you started seeing the video side of things. Like, what kind of took you that route, though?
I guess it's like there's a big combination to it. It jumps back a lot to what I was talking about, those film festivals, because they're each summer as well. I literally had like Poland's top directors just walking the streets in this little town, having little like classes for us. You could ask them any question you wanted, and so it got me intrigued. So that's when I really got my hands on like a reel, those big film cameras, all that stuff. I started playing with that, and I was like, damn, like this is cool. And these guys are like super successful at what they do. And so that's why originally I was like, okay, I want to do TV, big production, super awesome. But then I realized that to get into that, the investment's crazy. Like for everyone that is making YouTube videos, you know that making a YouTube video is much cheaper than...
But I do have to say, sometimes if you want to have a better camera, better lighting, better sound, all of that, it does start piling up. Yeah.
For sure. But like I'm talking more like having $100,000 production versus like a $5,000 to $10,000.
Very different,
right? Yeah. So I realized that quickly on. I didn't have a lot of money coming up in that sense where I could just ask my parents for $100,000. Why
not? Hey, Dad.
You know, small loan of $1 million. Yeah. But yeah, so it started off from there, and yeah, it just kind of grew, and I was really involved on social media, and my friend group. That I met in high school was like super cool in that sense because they're also like photographers, especially my one friend who really like, I was always into the video stuff. At first I wanted to be a YouTuber, so I was making just like straight camera on, doing challenges with my friends, my sister, whatever, this, that. That was cool. Kept moving, kept realizing.
But you kept on learning. The whole idea here that I want to pass on is like, just do things, try it out, and make sure that you get that experience, because that will be valuable in the future, right?
Yeah.
As we will see. Well, speaking of time and being bored and all of that, what's your take on, a lot of times when you ask people your age, do you have time to do this, or should you be doing that? And there's always a very common, and it's not everybody, obviously you're here as an example that doesn't happen to everybody, but in most cases, I'm too tired, or I just don't have the time, I'm dealing with this, or I have a presentation next week, so I gotta mentally and physically prepare. And then you end up, if you follow these characters afterwards, you end up seeing that they're not very successful in life. Like, what is your big advice for people like your age? And here I am sounding like an old man.
But honestly, I think this can be used for anyone at any point in their life. But at least this is what works for me personally, I guess, based on sort of what I've experienced, is never say no. Even if you think you can't do it, don't say no, because that's failing. That's kind of what I tell myself. It's like, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish, it's just so much, for me, it's just so much easier to say yes and then be like, okay.
Now you're in there. Now you got to figure it out.
Like, that's pretty much like, especially in these past like 2 years, for example, I've had some of the biggest jobs that I've been doing in terms of like the production, everything. And before starting, when I go into a meeting with the client and they're just talking to me about, okay, we want this and this and this, I'm thinking to myself, shit, I don't know how to do this.
You'll figure it out.
Exactly. And that's the first instinct I have, is just because I don't know doesn't mean I can't do it. The internet's ahead of me. If I know that I have a meeting with this client today and then we only start shooting in 2 weeks, that's gives me more than enough time. 2 weeks to learn whatever I need. And I'm not talking about going into, like, for example, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I want to be a videographer, and they haven't even picked up a camera. I don't mean that. Different. There's like these skill sets that I'm talking about. It's when it goes into like a specific style of shot that you're looking for, that, for example,
or a specific event or something like that. That'll be different from what you're doing.
And what that is, it's less about having to, like, for example, learn how to use a camera, but it's more about learning about how to like schedule properly, or how to prepare a production properly. So you know that where your cameras are, how they're standing, what they're recording.
I mean, we've been doing this a lot in the past couple of years, because again, I'm kind of the same mindset. I don't say no. I say, okay, let's do it. And then we'll figure it out. And that's when I call you up and go, okay, Colin, we got an issue here. We got to figure this one out. And we talk it over, and we go through the different, solutions or possible solutions, and we just get it done. I think, you're right. A lot of times, the younger generation, they don't even give themselves that possibility of trying.
The opportunity there.
Yeah.
And, and just like quickly touching on that, like, I know that, for example, your work weeks must, I don't know, be accumulated to like 50, 60 hours. You're working every day.
Yeah, every single day, and it's 14, 15 hours.
It's the same for me. I'm clocking.
But I'm not complaining, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is what confuses a lot of people. A lot of times when I'm talking to, people I know, friends, whatever, they're like, oh, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like, how can you do that every single day? Well, I've been doing it for 20 years now.
Yeah.
I'm okay. This is what I like to do.
Exactly.
There's that little spark. I like working.
Yeah.
I enjoy working. Doesn't mean that I don't do other things. You know,
Yeah.
the beauty of having a business is also you can model your hours and your weeks differently.
Exactly.
So, you know, I can be here doing a podcast now, but I know that I'm going to probably be working until 9 o'clock today to finish off some projects, right?
Yeah.
It's just the name of the game, but you need to really have that passion and to really have that drive of knowing what you want to do and loving what you're doing in order to keep on doing it. Because if you're going to go into a business with a 9 to 5 mentality, you're never going to be successful. That's never going to be achievable.
Yeah.
Success is never going to come to you.
I'm cutting in here short on my time, but what I want to say is for everyone that has an opportunity like this, just do it. Even if you're an entrepreneur, even if you are a freelancer, you want to work on your own, you don't believe in having a boss, work with somebody that's done it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever happens. And I know that we have this conversation a lot, the whole idea of sort of like a mentor and like, for example, what you say in your lifestyle, a lot of the times what happened when you were younger is because you didn't have that opportunity at first. There was a lot of like things that you didn't know. And I think that for me, one of the big things about working with Creative 7 is like, I do know a lot of that stuff.
Hopefully
now.
We're giving you a couple of shortcuts along the way. So this way you don't have to go through all the, I guess, I'm not going to say mistakes, but all of the, you know, time consuming
learning
aspects.
curve.
Yeah, the learning curve.
Yeah. And that's it. I'm happy. I think our work's been getting better and better every single day that we work. So
all right.
It's awesome.
You know, as long as we keep getting better, that's the point.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thank you for being here today as a guest. And you guys out there, if you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Just hit that button. I don't care where. Just hit it and tell people about it. Come on.
Exactly.
I mean, this is what we're here for. All right, guys. Catch you on the next one.